7:46 a.m., October 22, 2025, South China Sea. Two Chinese destroyers appear on radar, closing fast at 27 knots. They're headed straight for the USS Higgins. What happens next will test every sailor's training and push two superpowers to the edge of something nobody wants. The morning starts quiet. Too quiet. The kind of calm that makes experienced sailors nervous. On the bridge of the USS Higgins, a 9,000-ton Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the watch crew settles into their morning routine. Coffee gets refilled. Status boards get checked. The ocean stretches out in every direction, flat and endless under a pale gold sky. Then the radar operator sees it. A single green blip appears on his screen, bearing 275 degrees, moving fast. Within seconds, another contact appears. Then another. The captain moves to the scope. His coffee cup sits forgotten on the console behind him. The contacts are cutting directly across the destroyer's path. No transponder signals, no identification codes, no radio contact. The room changes. That easy morning rhythm disappears. Every console operator sits up straighter. Eyes lock onto screens. The communication officer adjusts his headset, waiting. Then it comes. A voice breaks through the static, sharp, accented, direct. U.S. warship, you are in Chinese waters. Leave immediately. The bridge goes completely silent. Outside, the South China Sea looks peaceful. The surface reflects the morning sun like polished glass. But 25 miles beyond the horizon sits Scarborough Shoal, a half-submerged ring of coral that three nations claim as their own. Beijing calls it sovereign Chinese territory. Manila points to international tribunal rulings. Washington insists these are international waters that belong to everyone and no one. The captain doesn't hesitate. Log the transmission. Respond on open channel. Standard phrasing. The communications officer keys his mic. His voice stays calm, measured, exactly as trained. Unidentified vessel. This is United States warship conducting lawful transit through international waters. No interference required. Nothing comes back. Just static and the hum of the ship's ventilation system. Then the radar operator speaks again. New contacts. Two large signatures. Closing at high speed. From the starboard bridge wing, binoculars confirm what the electronics already know. Two Chinese Type 052D destroyers. Their gray hulls cut white scars across the calm water. Bow waves rise high as they push through 27 knots. They're not turning away. They're closing in. On deck, sailors pause whatever they're doing. You can feel the atmosphere change. The air gets heavier. Salt spray mixes with something else. Tension. Inside the Combat Information Center, deep in the ship's core, status boards light up in sequence. Every radar sweep, every radio transmission, every movement gets recorded automatically. The Navy's rules for these encounters are ironclad. Warn first. Document everything. De-escalate when possible. CPA? The captain asks. Closest point of approach. The navigator checks his calculations twice. 1.2 nautical miles and shrinking, sir. That's close. Too close for two warships moving at speed. The Higgins maintains her course and speed. Freedom of navigation protocol demands it. Show neither aggression nor submission. Sail straight. Sail professional. Let the other side make the mistakes. The ship's SPY-1D radar keeps sweeping in precise circles. It paints a digital picture of everything within 200 miles. Aircraft at altitude. Surface vessels. Even small fishing boats near the horizon. The system tracks them all simultaneously, updating every few seconds. The crew knows their ship's reputation. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer carries more firepower than most entire national fleets. 90 vertical launch cells loaded with missiles. A 5-inch gun that can hit targets 13 miles away. Torpedo tubes. Close-in weapon systems. Electronic warfare suites that can jam enemy radar from 50 miles out. But this morning isn't about firepower. It's about restraint. About professionalism under pressure. About proving that discipline beats aggression every single time. The first Chinese destroyer slides into visual range. Its gray hull throws reflected sunlight across the water. Through binoculars, American sailors can see Chinese sailors lining the rails. They're holding cameras, phones, recording equipment, all pointed straight at the Higgins. Their ship's wake foams in parallel to the American destroyer. A deliberate show of control, a message being sent without words, bridge to combat. Maintain MCON-3, record all emissions, the electronic warfare officer confirms, detecting faint radar pings from the Chinese vessel. Surface search mode only, not fire control. Not yet, that's important. Surface search radar just tracks position. Fire control radar locks onto targets before weapons launch. One is routine. The other is a warning nobody wants to see. Then the radio crackles again. U.S. vessel, you are intruding into Chinese waters. Alter course immediately or you will bear responsibility for all consequences. The phrasing is careful. Deliberately vague. Responsibility for consequences could mean anything. It's designed to sound threatening without making actual threats. Legal teams from both nations will analyze every word later. Still, the Higgins holds steady. The captain leans over the chart table, studying the navigation plot. We're 25 miles off the shoal, well outside any recognized territorial limit. Keep course. No deviations. The tension becomes visible now. Sailors' eyes flick between radar scopes and the ocean beyond the windows. Even small sounds seem amplified. The turn of a wheel, the tap of a keyboard, the quiet hiss of the intercom system. CIC set recording time. Mark 0753, flag all transmissions for intelligence review. A petty officer nods, typing quickly. Beyond the bridge windows, the Chinese destroyers have matched speed exactly. They're close enough now that individual sailors can be distinguished on their decks. No weapons are visibly manned, but their intentions are crystal clear. Pressure by proximity. Intimidation without escalation. Inside the Higgins, discipline holds firm. No raised voices, no sudden movements. The crew has rehearsed scenarios like this hundreds of times in simulators and exercises. Each log entry, each radar sweep, each unreturned radio call becomes part of a larger picture. Proof of professionalism under provocation. Evidence for later review. At 7:58 a.m., the captain steps to the forward window. He watches the two warships ghosting alongside his destroyer, moving in perfect formation. Their presence is a statement. An assertion of control over waters they claim but don't legally own. Keep recording, he says quietly. Let them make the next move. The radar keeps pulsing. The ocean stays calm. But in the silence between radio transmissions, everyone aboard knows exactly what this is. A contest of will. A test of nerve. A confrontation fought not with missiles and guns, but with patience and precision. And somewhere beyond the reef line of Scarborough Shoal, the world's next maritime crisis has just begun. 9 a.m. local time. The ocean mirrors the sky in shades of blue and gold. But the radar picture tells a completely different story. The two Chinese Type 052D destroyers have shifted into a flanking formation. One sits off the Higgins' starboard quarter. The other drifts forward of her beam. They're boxing her in. Naval tacticians call it a shadow escort. It's a slow, deliberate maneuver designed to control another ship's movement without physically touching it. Inside the Combat Information Center, the air hums with restrained focus. Displays glow green and amber. Dozens of targets track simultaneously across multiple screens. Voices stay low, clipped, professional. Every data point gets logged and cross-checked. Speed, bearing, range, distance, all. Recorded to the second, contact. Red 1 now holding at 600 yards. Reports the Surface Watch officer. Red 2 closing. 300 yards and narrowing. Copy that. Maintain course. Log all movements. The captain stands at the center of the bridge. Arms folded. Eyes locked on the digital sea displayed across multiple monitors. No deviation. We stay predictable. Predictability in naval encounters is tactical. It proves you're not aggressive. It shows you're following international law. It demonstrates that you're not the one escalating. If something goes wrong, the record will show who maintained course and who didn't. Outside, the Chinese destroyer Jinan looms so close that crew members can make out her deck markings and hull number. Her twin Type 730 CIWS turrets, automated close-in weapon systems, track in idle rotation. They're not aimed at anything specific, but they're visible enough to send a message. We're here. We're watching. We're ready. A second transmission crackles through the radio. The voice is Mandarin accented and stern. U.S. warship, you are violating Chinese sovereignty. Turn away immediately. The Higgins answers with the exact same script as before. Calm, rehearsed, professional. This is United States warship conducting lawful transit through international waters under international law. We intend no harm and will maintain our course. Then silence again. No acknowledgement. No argument. Just the steady sound of engines and water against steel. The sea between the ships churns white from propeller wash. Each vessel adjusts fractionally, maintaining separation without collision. On radar, the CPA drops below 500 yards. For destroyers moving at 20 knots, that's a knife's edge. One miscalculation and billions of dollars worth of warships could collide. Personnel could die. A diplomatic incident could explode into something far worse. On deck, sailors man observation posts. Cameras roll continuously. Everything gets documented. The ship's SLQ-32 electronic warfare suite detects intermittent radar sweeps. Low power, short bursts, fire control testing from the Chinese side. Not enough to trigger automatic countermeasures, but enough to raise every heartbeat aboard. Every sailor knows what fire control radar means. It's the last step before weapons launch. The executive officer leans toward the captain. They're painting us, sir. Short bursts. Recorded, the captain replies. No reaction. To an untrained eye, the Higgins looks motionless. In reality, she's performing a delicate ballet of micro-corrections. 1 or 2 degrees on the rudder, fractional throttle changes, all designed to keep the formation stable without appearing evasive. Her Aegis SPY-1D radar maintains lock on all nearby contacts. The system is ready to shift from surveillance mode to defense mode in milliseconds if a single hostile signal appears. Overhead, the Seahawk helicopter sits fueled on deck, rotors still tied down. Its crew waits in the ready room, headsets on, flight suits zipped. If things turn sharp, they'll be airborne in less than 3 minutes. Their job would be to provide aerial surveillance and potentially draw fire away from the ship. Nobody wants that scenario. At 8:21 a.m., the Chinese ship astern surges forward suddenly. It cuts closer than ever before, less than 300 yards. The wake from her bow sprays across the Higgins hull, sending white water cascading over the lower deck. Bridge. CIC, contact Red 2, crossing CPA, 280 yards closing. The captain's voice stays quiet, controlled. Helm, 5 degrees port. Maintain speed. The destroyer tilts slightly, carving a clean arc through the water that widens the gap by just enough. The maneuver looks effortless. It isn't. One wrong calculation and $2 billion worth of steel could tear into each other. Metal would crumple, compartments would flood. Sailors would die. On the Chinese deck, sailors film the entire scene. A red flag flutters above them in the morning breeze. The intent is obvious. Propaganda material. Footage to show state television audiences an American destroyer backing down, retreating, yielding to Chinese pressure, but the camera doesn't catch the full truth. The Higgins hasn't actually changed course. Only the angle of observation makes it look that way. The ship's track remains exactly as filed. The speed stays constant, only a minor adjustment to avoid collision, which international maritime law requires from both vessels. Inside CIC, the electronic warfare operator calls out, picking up encrypted chatter between Red 1 and Red 2, short bursts. No translation yet. Keep recording, the tactical action officer answers. We'll sort it later. Minutes stretch like hours. The tension isn't dramatic or cinematic. It's surgical, methodical. Every sailor knows the rules of engagement by heart. Weapons tight. Respond only to direct hostile intent. No warning shots. No aggressive maneuvers. One wrong decision here could ignite a regional crisis that spirals beyond anyone's control. Then it happens. The Chinese lead ship veers slightly starboard. It cuts even closer, just a few hundred feet away before leveling off again. Its engines thunder through the water like distant drums. The bridge windows on both vessels reflect each other's crews. For a few breathless seconds, two nations stare eye to eye through reinforced glass and salt spray. CIC mark that time. 8:29, the captain says softly. That's as close as they'll get. And he's right. The Chinese ships begin to ease off their throttles. Their speed drops. The distance between vessels starts to increase. Wakes widen behind them as they fall back into a trailing formation. But the message has been sent and received by both sides. Neither ship spoke beyond the scripted radio lines. No collisions occurred. No shots were fired. No weapons were armed. Just precision, restraint, and the quiet understanding that next time, the line between routine encounter and disaster might be even thinner. 4:42 a.m. local time. The sea returns to calm. The tension doesn't. On the USS Higgins, the radar scope finally clears. Two fading echoes slide west toward the horizon. The Chinese destroyers have peeled away, throttling down to cruise speed. For the crew, it's the moment they can finally breathe normally again. But no one relaxes completely. Not in these waters. Even a retreat is tactical. Contacts now opening range. Closest point recorded at 270 yards, reports the Combat Information Center. Copy secure from general quarters, the captain replies. His voice is steady but dry from hours of controlled tension. From the bridge, Scarborough Shoal lies invisible below the morning haze. Just coral and rock beneath shallow turquoise water. Nothing that looks valuable, yet on the geopolitical map it might as well be solid gold. Every inch is claimed, debated, defended. For Beijing, it's Huangyandao, Chinese territory since ancient times, they say. Historical maps prove it according to their narrative. For Manila, it's part of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, confirmed by the 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling. For Washington, it's an international waypoint that must stay open to guarantee freedom of navigation for all nations. 3 flags, 1 reef, and 1,000 ways to start a crisis. By mid-morning, the Higgins resumes her freedom of navigation track. She maintains a steady 15 knots heading north by east. The logs get sealed. Data gets exported. Every second of radar tracking and radio recording gets encrypted for review by U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. The ship's intelligence officer marks the encounter as routine shadowing. No incident. But everyone aboard knows that's only technically true. Hours later, Beijing's Southern Theater Command issues its statement through state television. Chinese naval units monitored, warned, and expelled a United States destroyer that illegally entered territorial waters near Huangyandao. The phrasing isn't random. Drove away is crafted specifically for domestic broadcast, firm, triumphant, face-saving. No footage gets shown, but the message is clear. The party protects its sea. The Navy defends the nation. Foreign intruders get expelled. In Washington, the Pentagon fires back with equal precision. USS Higgins conducted a routine freedom of navigation operation in accordance with international law. No unsafe or unprofessional interactions occurred. Each word is calibrated carefully. Routine, lawful, professional. A linguistic firewall against escalation. For media outlets around the world, the standoff becomes a headline for 24 hours, then fades. For the sailors aboard, it becomes another entry in the ship's log. But behind the diplomatic language, the implications run deep. This was the first time in 6 years that a U.S. destroyer sailed directly within 12 nautical miles of Scarborough Shoal. It wasn't random timing. Just 3 months earlier, the Philippines expanded its Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, granting U.S. forces access to 4 new bases across Luzon. China's response was immediate. More patrols, more law enforcement operations, more gray hull warships showing the flag throughout the South China Sea. The Higgins encounter fits perfectly into that pattern. It wasn't combat. It was calibrated signaling. Every maneuver, every transmission, even every silence had purpose. For Beijing, it demonstrated control over disputed waters. For Washington, it asserted freedom of navigation rights. And for Manila, watching from the sidelines, it meant reassurance that America still sails where it says it will. Back on the Higgins, the crew gathers for debrief. The atmosphere is disciplined, not triumphant. They know this playbook by heart. Document everything. Analyze what happened. Prepare for the next encounter. The electronic warfare officer lists each radar ping received from the Chinese ships. The intelligence chief tags specific data packets that will be useful for future encounters. The ship's log notes no injuries, no damage, no deviation from planned course. Just professionalism under intense pressure. Still, the questions linger in every sailor's mind. How close can 2 rival navies operate without a single mistake turning catastrophic? How long until one of those routine passes stops being routine? How many times can this same scenario play out before something goes wrong? Outside, the sea glitters, indifferent to human concerns. The Higgins cuts through the swell, white spray curling off her bow. Engines hum a low, steady rhythm. For now, peace holds. But beneath that surface peace, the contest continues every single day. Satellites track ship movements from orbit. Maritime patrol aircraft shadow naval formations. Underwater sensors listen for submarine activity. Each side maps every move the other makes. The South China Sea has become a chessboard where the pieces are made of steel and the rules get rewritten constantly. In this game, victory isn't about who fires first. It's about who keeps sailing when the other side tries to make them stop. It's about demonstrating resolve without escalation. About showing strength through restraint. About proving that professional navies can operate in the same waters without collision or conflict. The camera fades out on the destroyer's wake. Narrow, perfect, straight as a drawn line across blue water. The Higgins disappears over the horizon, heading toward her next patrol station. Behind her, the South China Sea returns to its deceptive calm. But everyone knows the next encounter is just a matter of time. Subscribe for more real stories from the edge of modern naval operations.